Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Desi, and today I will be reviewing a game that I have been spending a lot of time on. This is a reiteration of the classic WoW that came out in 2019, and I just thought I would share my thoughts so far and kind of offer a review of sorts. And I first heard about this in BlizzCon 2023. I never actually went to it, but I watched a bunch of recaps, and during this time we were progging Icecrown Citadel in the current version of Classic that I've been playing. A lot of versions to keep track of. I have done Hardcore, and that was a lot of fun. But more than anything, I've been invested in Season of Discovery, and I really wanted to tell you why. Now, when I heard about this initially, I was skeptical, and I follow SFan. He's one of my favorite streamers, and because he's really passionate about the game, he's not like a meme lord like Asmongold is. So I generally take his opinions with more of a grain of salt than Asmongold. But they announced things like Mage Healer, Warlock Tank, etc., and it just kind of sounded odd and goofy, and I never really put any credence to it. But then I watched the gameplay itself, and I was like, wow, this looks amazing. Look at all these new runes and stuff. I didn't even know about the runes when I was listening to BlizzCon. So, anyways, speaking of which, the gameplay. It's primarily focused around the new rune system. From an early level, you pick these runes up, like I think it's like level 1 or 2 in the starting zone, you pick up your first rune, and they vary, but they are essentially way more powerful than what you would have normally, and you find yourself just ripping through mobs in the starting zones. And as the game goes on, you pick more and more up, and by the time you're max level at 25, that's the first level cap, a lot of them are really difficult to get. So, but yeah, the level cap is 25. I want to point that out, and it's a lot more laid back. It's not that long and hard to get to 25. I do want to point out that the mobs are stronger. I especially noticed this around like level 13, 14, 15. They're much harder to kill. They take a lot more hits and they dish out more damage, and I think the reason why is because these new runes basically offer things from like Cataclysm, Wrath of the Lich King into your rotation, like Explosive Shot for Hunters, Living Bomb for Mages, Chaos Bolt for Warlocks, and they actually scale with your level, have good spell power coefficients, so they do a lot of damage. And it's really fun to use these new spells in this old world. Like I said, some of these are from Cataclysm. Like Warlocks have Haunt. That's super fun to use. You go around and use Haunt and you heal yourself. As a Warlock, so you can just tap heal yourself. And it's leveling my Warlock was, I think, the funnest experience I've had in this iteration so far. And the max level 25, is focused around Ashenvale, which before was kind of a notorious place to level because of all the PvP action, and now it's the whole area is a PvP battle. So it's really cool to experience Ashenvale at level 25 and have these massive battles, essentially. You can also do Warsong Gulch. Warsong Gulch is really fun to do at level 25. And then, of course, there's the 10-man raid, Black Fathom Deeps, which will be our next topic. This is a former 5-man dungeon, and back in 2019 when Classic re-released, I really didn't pay much attention to it because the items were crap and you only had like a few quests in here, and it really wasn't that exciting. It was just kind of a pain in the butt to do. It was out of the way, and there were much better items from like Scarlet Monastery. Shadowfang Keep actually had really good items that were way better, especially if you're a caster, but Black Fathom Deeps essentially got completely reworked with new bosses, or old bosses, but with entirely different skill sets, mechanics, and it takes about a half an hour if you're a really good group to an hour if you're a slower group. Either way, it's not too big of a time investment, and the items are actually properly itemized. You don't have these weird stats like strength and spirit and intellect or whatever. You actually have really good items that have spell power on them, have a nice stat sticks, have a nice rounded bunch of stats. They aren't just random. I don't understand why Blizzard had these random like spirit robes or whatever that are just these useless items back in the day from dungeons. It's like, what's the point of doing that? You know, if you're gonna have like a sword, put strength and stamina and maybe agility on it. Don't put strength and spirit or intellect and strength. Like, what is that? And there's just so many items like that, and it was really frustrating. But they redid this dungeon, turned it into a 10-man raid. Super fun. I absolutely love it. First 5 bosses are kind of I wouldn't say a pushover. If you have a good group, they're a pushover. If you have kind of a new group or whatever, you might have some issues. If you don't respect the mechanics, you will die. And I love that. The last 2 bosses are moderately challenging, I would call it. Kelris, you really need to have rogues who ever interrupt the shadowy chains. If you don't do that, your healers run out of mana. The last phase is really intense in terms of healing. Priests are really broken, by the way. I guess I'll mention that in the cons. I guess I forgot to write that down, how broken priests are in terms of how good they are at healing. There's issues with how good some tanks are, like Shaman and Warlock tanks are really good. Warriors aren't as good, but I'm sure these class issues will get balanced. And plus, once you get a bunch of gear, this place becomes easier and easier. Now, the first week we did this, we actually had to prog, or what's called progression rate, the last 2 bosses, because our gear was bad. And I think that there's a little bit of tuning issues also. But I think now that we've talked about that raid, I can just get into the positive takeaways so far. It really does have a fresh feel to an old world because of the new runes. You're actually, because of the level cap, you're able to stop and enjoy. I guess that's the last the last thing that I'm bringing up first. Classes actually have a rotation. If you're a warlock, you just don't press Shadow Bolt and Life Tap. You actually have things you can weave in. You can actually use your dots. Super cool. Even as a rogue, with the Envenom ability, you know, timing your poisons and everything else like that. I really enjoy it. Like I said before, the max level gear is actually optimized and doesn't have all these weird stats on it. Actually has spell power for casters and whatnot. And I really have enjoyed every week watching my character get more and more powerful. Getting the high-end runes, especially the Metamorphosis rune for Warlock, feels extremely rewarding. You have to travel all over to these parts of Azeroth. The Warlock rune for Metamorphosis, you have to go all the way to Red Ridge and go up in this tower, essentially. You have to go into 2 towers, and it feels... I love that. I now that I've actually done it, when I was doing it, having to get a group together, it was a pain in the butt, because generally I'm one of those people that likes to solo things, and you can solo it, but you can. It's just a lot easier to find a group of friends and go, and it's really a good way to experience camaraderie and everything. Speaking of which, the community is alive and well. I feel more involved in the community and, you know, more willing to group up with people to get quests done and help people out than I did in 2019. And I love that. And again, I'll point it out again because I pointed it out earlier, I pointed it out before. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel like it's a grind to get to 60 and I have to spend 3 days straight staying up all night to get to 60 before I can get to the end game content. It doesn't take that long to get to 25. It's a couple of days if you really grind. You can even do it in a single day if you wanted. There are people that do that. So I do like that it rewards people who rush to the max level and also people who just want to take it easy and enjoy themselves. Now, the negative takeaways. And of course, this has to do with the player base. And the number one thing is gatekeeping and metagaming. Despite this being designed as a casual kind of dad games or dad gamer sort of thing, there are groups that if you don't have 7 out of 7, if you don't have good logs, if you don't have all these consumes, if you don't have the mechanical green to the dog whistle, you're not getting in. And if you're like a leather wearer, because everyone there's too many rogues apparently. Good luck getting in unless you have really good logs. Whereas if you're a really crappy priest with gray parses, you're getting in because priests are so broken anyways. So yeah, there's gold farming, there's bots, there's all the other crap that goes along with it. Nothing to be too surprised at, but the gatekeeping really does bother me. Because what if somebody who hasn't played in 15 years wants to get in this again? They're rusty, they don't know the rotation or whatever, and they're just like, hey, I want to do Black Fathom Deeps, but they don't have a guild or people to carry them or whatever. It's just like, good luck finding a group. You're out of luck. Tough crap. And it's the same thing with Wrath of the Lich King, and it's really just a drawback, and it's really annoying because people just don't have the patience to teach other people, and if you screw up a mechanic or if your DPS isn't high enough, you just get kicked, and you get told you suck, and it's harmful and sad. I will say once you reach max level, there isn't a whole lot to do. You can basically do quests at max level to get extra gold, which I've been doing, but I really am not a big fan of doing quests. Now, the Ashenvale PvP is fun, but once you get your rep, once you get your items from the rep, there's really not a whole lot of point to keep doing it. You can farm materials for gold, but I'm just not a person who likes to farm gold. Like, I like to get a set amount of gold, enough for consumables every week for my raids, so I can do well, but beyond that, I really don't have a huge incentive to play at level 25. But that might just be me. Faction imbalance was an issue. It seems pretty fixed. I think I'm on Living Flame. Yes, I think I'm on Living Flame. I can't remember what my server is. It's one of the big ones. But my server was dominated by Alliance. They would win all the Ashenvale PvP events, and it was really hard to get rep. But it's been more or less fixed, and it's balanced. It's like 50-50 now who wins, so I like that. I'm glad they fixed that. Layering is really annoying, especially in PvP zones, but that's just a minor nitpick. I really do like that there is a ton of people still playing this game. It hasn't died out. I was actually getting queues like 2 weeks into playing this game, so people are still actively doing this. I go in and there's people that I haven't seen in years playing this game, and they're still playing. So hopefully Blizzard keeps it going. There's a lot of positives to take away from this. I'm hoping I get some of my friends to play because it's super fun, and I absolutely love where this is going. So knock on wood, they don't screw it up. Anyways, I think that about sums it up. I just wanted to talk about it. Oh my god, my freaking camera is in the way. There we go. Anyways. Typical noob Desi things. Anyways, I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'll probably post another one at level 40 to see how it feels. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and see you on the next one. Peace.